So this is a different version of your band than we've seen before. Yeah?
Yep.
Who's in this? Who are you using?
For this particular gig, this will be John Nassos on saxophone, who's more or less one of my more regular mainstays. A New York transplant who's actually from here originally. His name's Chris Higgins, the bass player. It's funny, we actually both moved back to Portland literally at the same exact time, which is about a month ago. And Clay Giverson on piano.
Yeah. And you'll be playing drums or something.
Yeah, just drums.
Are you still playing sax?
I still play sax, yeah.
What do you like better? You don't have to choose, I mean, but...
I know more about the drums. I guess I'll probably say that my main passion probably really is drums. Sax is a close second.
Yeah. How do you choose what you're gonna play? I mean, for this band, do you always play drums?
Sometimes I'll have another drummer come and play the second half while I play drums in the first half. I did it actually a couple of years ago with the first time this band ever performed in Portland. I had my dad with me, so I had him play the second set. So that way it was me and Arnell playing horn for the front line on the second set.
What's that like having your dad play in your band?
It's cool. I mean,
there was a little pause there.
I mean, it's cool in the sense I'm kind of over it now at this point. Like, of course, when I was younger, I'm like, oh, it's my dad. There's all this emotionalism around it, but I've done it enough now to where I don't really think about like that aspect of it. It's just like me playing with a good friend. Of course, in this case, my good friend happens to be my father.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it must have been pretty tricky earlier on. I mean, the father-son relationship can be so complex.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's always been more than 100% supportive of anything that I've ever wanted to do, and he never did try to push me into playing music. He's just kind of like, well, here it is. He sort of laid out some basic tools, the groundwork for how to go about teaching myself. I think that's probably one of the greatest things I got from my father, that he taught me how to teach myself, because humans can't always be consistent and be there for you all the time. So that's one thing that as parents, I'm not a parent yet, but of course parents, they want to be able to know that when they're out of earshot of their child, if the child is able to make some sound decisions on their own. So that's what he instilled in me early on. So
did you ever go to the jazz camp?
Yeah, I did. I went
Did you?
2 years in a row, I think.
So, what kind of tunes can we expect at Jimmy Mac's on Friday?
Mostly 80s stuff. The reason why, actually, how this whole thing came about was a couple years ago I got asked to play, to be one of the headliners for the Portland Jazz Festival. And they go, oh, okay, well, here'd be a nice, cool thing for you to do. We'll bring you in as a guest artist and play with your father. So I just played saxophone the whole time on that. Over at Jimmy Mac's, and that was with his Wednesday night band. With Tony Cassini and Dan Balmer, right? And so I figured, okay, this, since I'm having to come up with all the music and arrangements, I go, well, this would be a nice way for me to honor my father by playing the music of his era, so to speak. So that's how this whole idea, the kernel for this idea of dealing with 80s music came to play 80s, 70s music. So then since then, I was like, oh, I had a lot of fun arranging or having fun taking on the challenge of trying to marry the integrity of that sound that we all know of, as well as the stuff that I'm used to back in New York, that type of sensibility. So from there, that just kept growing. So right now, my current musical direction is dealing with music of the 80s, 70s, whatever. And it's sort of a Herbie Hancock-esque kind of way.
Very good. So when you say 80s, you're not talking about Journey.
It could be.
Really?
Could be. Yeah. I mean,
Seriously?
I'm doing stuff by Jefferson Starship.
Seriously?
Toto.
Wow.
Michael Jackson.
Very interesting.
Prince. Because it's a nice challenge to try to stretch those musical muscles. Like, how do I do this in a way that won't turn people off? Especially the ones who have only heard that one version. One way every single time. And how do I still keep growing as a musician and take these things and make them into something that has my personal stamp on it. So.
Wow. So are you gonna be recording this band, do you think?
At some point.
So, for instance, what might we find in your first set?
The first set is sort of a mix of some of the '80s stuff married with a little bit of my own originals, just to sort of blend it in there. So I like themes, right? So when you think of the '80s, that's in the past, right? So the first two, in fact, the first one we're going to play is a tune called Throwback. So it's already kind of gives you an idea that this is sort of a nostalgic feeling, because one of the things that I've noticed is when people go to concerts, right? Especially like popular concerts, when they go to watch the music is typically performed exactly the same way as it is on the record, right? However, why would you spend 35, almost $50 to go hear someone do the same exact thing the same way as you heard on your record that you have at your house? So it goes to show that the reason why people are drawn to it is not because of the music, but because of everything that surrounds the music. So you're in a stadium atmosphere, there's food, there's alcohol, there's people, you might make a friend, a connection or something like that at the concert. So then later on, you're like, oh, it was music that brought us together. So the idea of playing these old songs gets you into thinking, oh, I remember when I first heard this song, I was with my first love, or I was in school at this time, or I was doing this, that, and the third. So it's one of these things that that invokes imagery, because most jazz music doesn't evoke imagery. It's just a bunch of people playing songs, and it's very impressive, but you're not thinking of anything other than how impressive it looks. So I want to try to infuse imagery along with the musical prowess of people who are deep in the trenches, so to speak, for trying to grow as musicians.
Gotcha, interesting. So you are moved back here totally now?
Totally, all the way back here.
Wow, you were teaching at Rutgers, and you're in the reserves and all that. That's a big leap. Why did you move back?
My mother died last September, so I now have her house, and I'm my younger brother's guardian. She's a special, mentally handicapped person, so I'm now filling her role. So that was the main impetus for me coming back at the time that I came back. I'd always planned on coming back, even before I joined the Marine Corps back in 1995. My plan was to go off to New York, learn all the stuff that you can only really learn there, and then bring that information back here. So, like you said, I spent a lot of time out there. The past 13 years, that was my life out there. And I planned on, like I said, on coming back. I just didn't think I was going to be coming back specifically at this time. But I kind of had an idea that I wanted to be around here, because I'd gotten out of New York what I wanted to get out of it, and I was ready to leave.
Are you still in the reserves?
Yep.
Wow. So what do you have to do? I mean,
I play saxophone for the 234th Army Band here in Oregon.
Really?
Because that was my job back in New Jersey, which is where my base was, the 63rd Army Band. So I was their principal saxophonist there, and now I'm not here.
So you've been in the military a long time. Why did you choose that, and what has that done for you?
It's done a lot for me, actually. I initially chose it because I had a friend named Jason Anderson, who was like my running partner, but also sort of like my surrogate big brother, right? And he was the guy that I looked to for getting my homework done, for learning how to play music better. So I said, whatever school you go to, let me know, so that way I'll apply to the same school. So he got in a full ride. I think there was even a story on him in the paper about how he got a full ride back in 1993 to go off to Berkeley and Boston. However, I didn't get accepted into the school, and I put all my eggs into that basket because I thought I was a shoe-in, or however you say that, to get in. So I go, okay, well, now what's my backup plan? I don't have one. And my dad was like, once you're 18, you're out of the house. I don't care if you join the military, just got to get out the house. All right. So just so happened, because I was really into lifting weights. I still like lifting weights now, but especially then. So Marine recruiters were always showing up to the Wilson High School weight room to try to recruit guys from there naturally. So I took a test, passed it, and then they kept hounding me with phone calls trying to get me to join it. I would make up lies and say I didn't want to join. Or make up lies as to why I couldn't join. And then eventually one guy just kept calling, so I said, all right, I'll go on down there, check you out, just like get you off my back. So then I got to thinking, well, there's a quote I guess Jesse Jackson said a long time ago. It said, suffering breeds character. And I got to thinking about it. Well, I haven't really suffered that much in comparison to a lot of other people. And I figured, if you don't suffer joining the stinking Marine Corps, I don't know where else you could possibly suffer. Right? So that was kind of my reasoning, as well as an opportunity to travel and maybe finagle a way to make my way up to the northeast. It just so happened it worked out. And it didn't work out until about maybe 2 weeks before I was actually supposed to get out of the Marine Corps. I didn't have any contingencies for getting up there. I tried getting into William Patterson, didn't get into there. I had no other contingencies, so I said, I'm going to have to come back home to Oregon, which I don't want to do, but oh well. I met a guy who's working for the Department of HUD, Department of Homing, something like that, some kind of division. And he goes, come live with me and my family until you kind of figure something out. And I was like, this is an awfully weird proposal, but I'm going to go ahead and take you up on it. So that's how I made my way up there. I've been up there ever since.
Okay, so say the name of your band and what it means.
Itutu.
Itutu.
And it's an African word that means cool.
Cool.
Right, exactly.
Very cool.
I think from the things I've read and the things that people have told me about the name, they say that it's a way of saying, okay, well, you have a guy maybe who's going into adulthood, trying to get his manhood. So then he has to go off and do a test. So maybe we'll say he's got to go live out in the jungle or something like that, and he's got to survive for a week or something like that. So when he comes back, let's say he's got like a tiger over his shoulder or something like that, and people go, well, how was it? And you go, Itutu. Right? So the concept of that is that we play with musicians that are on such a high level that what we do is extremely difficult, but we make it look easy. That's why I chose the name Itutu. Because a lot of people, when they watch me play, they like watching me play as much as they like listening to me play, because when I play, I don't really move that much. So it looks kind of weird. Like you see things getting hit, but you don't actually see that much motion. Like a lot of drummers like to do this. Like I learned from my father a long time ago, that's a lot of wasted energy. Because when you get old, you're not going to be doing all that. So figure out how to do this stuff as efficiently as you possibly can.
Well, considering what the weather's been like, it's going to be really nice to walk in at Jimmy Mac's and be cool.
That's right. There you go.